What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to yet another video. I have a very special video planned out for you guys today. I'm going to be revealing my entire Spy and QQQ day trading strategy. I'm going to be reviewing some of the entry criteria I like to look for, how I do my analysis on Spy QQQ, as well as the futures, the indicators I use when day trading Spy and QQQ, and so much more. So as always, if you guys do enjoy the free education that I provide here on this YouTube channel, make sure to smash that like button as well as clicking that subscribe and that bell icon. It would mean the absolute world to me. Without further ado, let's hop into the video. Alrighty, so starting off from the very beginning, right away in the morning, what I like to do is I like to pull up ES, which is going to be the S&P 500 futures. Now, I have a lot of people that ask me, Brandon, why are you doing your analysis on SPY and the ES futures? And I want to show you guys an example on why I like to do analysis on both. So as most of you guys know, the S&P 500 futures, they trade 23 hours a day, where SPY is only trading from 9:30 to 4 o'clock when the market closes. So a really good example, if we pull up ES and we actually head on over to yesterday, we take the pivot high, pivot low right here. And again, we're going to talk about Fibonacci later in this video. But if we take this pivot high, pivot low right here, and we head on over to yesterday, we can see that ES never hit this 50% retracement before pulling back. However, if we head on over to SPY and we look at that same exact retracement, again, go to the 1 hour time frame, take pivot high to pivot low right here, and then we break it down to a 2-minute time frame, we can see that price respected the 50% retracement on SPY before pulling back. So sometimes the setup will only occur on ES, sometimes the setup will only occur on SPY. Most of the time they're going to be in sync, but that is why I like to do my analysis both on ES as well as SPY, because sometimes there might be slightly different setups. And if you're only doing your analysis on one of these, then you could completely miss out on the trade. Anyway, so starting off my morning, like I said, I like to look at ES. I do go live here on this YouTube channel at 8 a.m. every single morning, and you guys get to watch exactly how I do my analysis. But I will start with ES in the morning. Now, as you can see on this screen right here, the only thing that I have on is going to be my 21 EMA. This is going to be a very important level for me when doing my analysis. I like to use the daily 21 EMA as a possible bounce or reject zone on the daily or the hourly time frame. Those are the only time frames that I will use it on as far as doing my analysis. So the main things that I like to look for when trading ES or SPY is going to be Fibonacci. As most of you guys know, I absolutely love using Fibonacci levels. They haven't been as applicable in the market, but if we were to look at SPY today, the only clear-cut pivot low, pivot high that we had was here to here, and you can see that we had some price action at that 50% retracement, but nothing super interesting to get me into a trade. So I'll start off by looking for any potential Fibonacci retracement points that we could use for a bounce or reject. Right now, we're in a very strong uptrend, so I'm not going to be looking for rejects in this kind of market. I'm going to be mainly looking for pullbacks to then potentially get long. Like the other day, I was talking about this pivot low to pivot high right here and how price was holding that 50% retracement. If price didn't break below the 50% retracement, it would more than likely bounce and give us a new leg up, which is exactly what ended up happening yesterday. So I'll go through, start drawing any Fibonacci retracements. Are there rejects? Are there bounces? Again, there was a reject here on SPY yesterday. But that's step number one that I will do on ES, taking the clearest cut pivot low and pivot highs for possible bounces or possible rejects. Now, the next thing that I am going to start looking for is any strong areas of support and resistance. As we can see right now on the weekly time frame on ES, we only have resistance right here, and then we have this lower high over here. And as we see right now, price is trading at that previous resistance. So I will mark the clearest areas of support and resistance. Usually I'll start on the weekly, then break it down to a daily, and then after that, I'll go to a 4 hour. Like as we see right here on the 4 hour, we have this resistance zone from around 44.98 all the way down to 44.93. So once price broke above that resistance, it came back, made it support. If I was looking for a potential bounce, it would be at this previous resistance zone right here. After I'm done marking these on the 4 hour time frame, like we have a support zone right there, we have a little zone right here that we could have used. But again, the clearest areas of support and resistance, I'll then break it down to a 1 hour to see are there any other areas that I could use as potential bounces or reject zones. So if we're looking at ES right now, I mean, the only area I would have possibly been interested in rejecting would have been the previous day high right here. But as we see, price just blew right through that level. Now, when it comes to trading SPY and QQQ, I will say that a lot of my trades that I take are based off of bounces or rejects. But if I start to notice a with trend entry, I will start taking intraday Fibonacci retracement levels and looking for either a higher low or a lower high to then catch a potential bounce or reject. And again, we will get to those with trend entries. So after I'm done going through and identifying my areas of Fibonacci retracements as well as strong areas of support and resistance, the only other thing I want to know about is potential supply and demand levels. So a lot of my trading strategy revolves around Fibonacci retracements, supply and demand, as well as basic areas of support and resistance, and then watching price action as it approaches those areas. And if you guys do need help with understanding if price action is confirming a level, I just did a video last week. I will be leaving that one down in the description, but it pretty much shows you exactly what I like to look for when price is trading at a key area to confirm an entry. So once I'm done doing that on ES, I'll then head on over to SPY. Again, sometimes it's going to be slightly different levels. Most of the time they're going to line up almost perfectly, but sometimes you will have different levels on SPY and QQQ. Now, what we don't know is price going to confirm at the ES level, or is it going to confirm at the SPY level? I've had many trades that confirm on ES. I've had many trades that confirm on SPY. It just really depends on which one ends up confirming the trade. So then once I'm done doing ES and SPY, I'll then head on over to NQ. Again, do the same exact thing. As you can see, I already have this all marked up. Start looking for Fibonacci retracement levels. And I'll also start marking strong areas of support and resistance, as well as supply and demand. Like as you can see on the weekly time frame, I do have this supply level marked out right here at 16,304. And then once I'm done running through NQ, I'll then run through QQQ. Again, sometimes QQQ might confirm a trade. Sometimes maybe NQ will confirm the trade. As we see today, QQQ bounced off of 380, which typically those intervals of 5 are going to be important support and resistance zones, which we're going to go back to in 1 minute. But at the same time, you can see that NQ had this pivot low, pivot high. If we break it down to a 5-minute time frame, as QQQ was bouncing at 380, which is psychological support, what did QQQ do? Broke below the Fibonacci retracement, reclaimed it with a bullish candle, and as we see, that marked the exact bottom of the day. So also going back to that topic about those intervals of 5, if we head on over to SPY or QQQ, it doesn't matter. Intervals of 5, 450, 455, 460, 465, 470, etc. Those areas of 5 are going to be psychological support and resistance levels that we want to know about as day traders. So if price is trading near 450, you want to mark 450. As you can see, we bounced right off of 450 this morning. Price is getting close to 455. Therefore, we want to mark 455 because price could come up to 455 and just reject it. Again, going back on over to QQQ today, the exact bottom was at 380 this morning. That is why those psychological areas of support and resistance, those intervals of 5, you want to mark them because they could lead to high probability areas for bounces and rejects. So now that I have all of my levels marked out on ES, SPY, QQQ, and NQ, as the market opens, I am watching all 4 of them. I do have a flexible grid where I have all 4 of those pulled up. And real quick, in case you guys did not know, I do have a 450-page book on Amazon titled The New Age of Technical Analysis. And in this book, I go over my entire day trading and swing trading strategy, how to find bounces, rejects, support and resistance, the indicators I use, and so much more. Plus, book number 2 is going to be releasing in less than 1 month. So if you guys do want to get prepared for book number 2, because you're going to need book number 1 to fully understand book number 2, make sure to check it out, The New Age of Technical Analysis on Amazon. The link will be down in the description. And I'm going to be watching price very closely as it comes to my levels of interest. I'm not very interested in price when it's trading in between my levels. I'm more interested when it's trading at the level. Again, I prefer to trade bounces and rejects. So if I had a bounce at 380, I did not take this bounce earlier on QQQ, but if I had a bounce at 380, as price trades down to it, I want to pay very close attention. If I had a reject at, let's just say 380, 385, as price trades up to that area, I want to pay very close attention. Now, we also have intraday setups that we can trade. Most of the time when I'm day trading, I will be using the 8 EMA, 21 EMA, and VWAP. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on the chart real quick. So this is exactly what my chart is going to look like when I am day trading. I'm using the VWAP, 8 EMA, and 21 EMA as possible with trend entry points. The main thing that I like to use is going to be intraday Fibonacci levels to catch with trend trades. But I'm going to be showing you how I like to use these moving averages. So as we can see on SPY today, price pushed to the upside, came down, tested the 8 EMA for the very first time, and then ended up pushing to the upside. Price came back down, retested the 8 EMA, held it as support here, held it as support here, and then it pushed to the upside. So sometimes, depending on the overall price action and how often it's already hit that 8 EMA, I will use that as a potential entry point. This ideally would have been a really good entry. Again, we're talking after the fact. It's going to look slightly different during the market hours, but hopefully you guys get the point. You can see that the 8 EMA and VWAP and 21 EMA were very close together. That would be a potential bounce area that I would watch. So I typically like to take bounces around the 8 EMA or VWAP the first time that it comes back to test it. Just because if we have a large move to the upside, there's a lot of traders that weren't able to get into the trade. And if it comes back and it does retest that level, more than likely, that's when a lot of traders are going to try to get it. So if I'm going to be looking for a with trend entry, again, this could be to the downside. It could be to the upside. It just depends on the overall market momentum at that point. But because we were uptrending in the morning, I would be looking for a pullback to then get long somewhere in this area. So again, with the 8 EMA, 21 EMA, or even VWAP, I use them as potential bounce or reject spots. Now, I do want to show you guys an example on how you could use these for price targets. So we head on over to QQQ. I did end up taking a very beautiful reject on QQQ in the morning yesterday, right at this area right here. The way that I ended up finding that level of interest was simply taking that pivot high to pivot low right there. I told everybody in the team that I was watching 381.07 for a potential reject. Now, for me personally, when I am day trading, I am always breaking it down to smaller time frames to see truly how does price react to my area of interest. Again, if we just came up and we did this bearish candlestick right here on a 1 minute in the middle of nowhere, I don't care about it. But the fact that it was right at my level of interest that this ended up happening, that is why I ended up getting short. So price had a nice push to the upside. It rejected right off my level of interest. We got short and our stop loss was right above this area. Now, because we ended up rejecting at this spot right here and price is trading above the moving averages and VWAP, what can we do? We can use them as potential price targets. So for me, my price target, overall price target was VWAP. If you got short up here, you could say, oh, my first price target is going to be VWAP, then it's going to be the 8 EMA, and then it's going to be the 21 EMA. So if you're rejecting, you can use these three as potential price targets. If you're bouncing, you can use them as potential price targets. I believe the trade that we took, I want to say it was on QQQ as well. It was a bounce that we took right here, actually the day right before. So what I ended up doing was taking this pivot low to pivot high right here, and I took a bounce, again, breaking it down to a smaller time frame. I used a 2 minute for this entry right here. I either use a 1 minute or a 2 minute to get my sniper entry, but price came down, respected the 61.8, and we ended up getting long inside a team bull. Now, what was my overall price target on this trade? Again, VWAP and the 8 EMA right up here. As price pushed up to the 21 EMA, I used that as a first trim. And then as price pushed above the VWAP and right into that 8 EMA, that is when we fully exited the trade. So again, if you're bouncing, you can use these as price targets. If you're rejecting, you can use them as price targets to help you understand where can I trim my trade and lock in some profits. So with those three things, the 8 EMA and 21 EMA, they can help you identify with trend entries. If the market is dropping and you want to look for a low risk entry, look for it to come back into the moving averages or VWAP and watch price action and see if it rejects. If it does, you can get a low risk short entry. If price is uptrending, you're watching price to come back and bounce at those areas for a potential upside move. Again, identifying a low risk entry. Now, again, what I like to do, as you guys saw in those last two examples, is I really like to use the Fibonacci retracements, mainly higher time frame Fibonacci retracements, and breaking it down to a smaller time frame as price gets close to it. But we can also use intraday Fibonacci retracements to identify low risk entries. Here's a really good example of a SPY bounce that we ended up taking. Again, this was an intraday setup. As you can see, I took the lowest low all the way up to the highest high right here. And as price pulled down to the 61.8% retracement, it confirmed the trade with a bullish candlestick, and we ended up getting long and we caught a nice pop to the upside. Now with Spy and QQQ, breakout trades used to really work good, but not so much anymore. That's why I'm more interested in taking trades at a key area. Again, the most important thing is going to be watching price action as it comes to a key area. If I have a reject zone up here, I'm looking for bearish candlesticks at my level of interest. If I'm looking for a bounce, I'm looking for bullish candlesticks at my area of interest. If I see that, that confirms the trade. And then my stop loss is right on the opposite side of my area of interest. So that covers how I find my levels, ideally what I like to look for intraday, how you can identify price targets, Now, the only other thing that I do want to bring up is I personally do not trade 0 DTE expirations. I know a lot of people are like, Brandon, why? Why not? Why aren't you doing this? The reason being is I found a lot more consistency in my personal trading when I stopped trading 0 DTE. Reason being, sometimes price might come to your level and it might just sit there for a little bit. And because you're trading a 0 DTE, the theta starts hitting the contracts and then the slightest move ends up hitting your stop loss. And for me personally, it was harder to calculate what my actual risk was on a 0 DTE, not only because you have delta working against you, but because you also have that theta working against you. For me personally, what I like to do is trade 1 day till expiration or 2 day till expiration. Today's Tuesday, I traded Wednesday's expiration. Yesterday was Monday, I was trading Tuesday's expiration. Tomorrow's Wednesday, I'll either trade Thursday or Friday, and then the cycle repeats come next Monday. So again, if you're struggling with the 0 DTs, try it out. Let me know how you like it. And the only other thing I want to say with trading SPY and QQQ, I see a lot of people that struggle with letting their winners run. And this is just going to go for trading any stock in general. You need to watch the price action. So when it comes to trading, I don't know if I already touched on this, I'm mainly watching the 5-minute time frame, the 10 or 15-minute time frame, and then either using a 1-minute or a 2-minute to snipe my entries. And again, I am playing off of higher time frame levels, hourly, 4-hour, daily, weekly, and then the intraday setups that present themselves as well. But you need to be watching the overall price action and asking yourself, does anything about this current price action tell me to exit my position? If you got long as price came back and retested VWAP, came back up above it, again, we're just going to use a really good example. But if you were to get long, let's just say at the open of this candle or at the end of this candle right here, as you can see, very bullish candlestick right here. Does that tell you to exit your position? No, it actually tells you that there's going to be more upside. You get another bullish candlestick. Obviously, you broke above high day and you already caught a nice little move. So maybe take some of your profits at this point, and then you get a massive bullish candlestick right here. Again, lock in some profits, move your stop loss up, but nothing about these 3 candlesticks say that this thing is going to fall apart and then roll back over. That's why we want to move our stop loss up and slowly trim out of our position, because you could end up catching a nice trend to the upside. This candlestick right here didn't tell you to exit. This consolidation right here didn't tell you to exit. This right here on a 15-minute more than likely did not tell you to exit. And then as you can see, boom, right into new high again. So if you're somebody who is struggling with letting your winners run, truly try to watch that price action and see if anything in the price action tells you to fully exit your position. If not, make sure you're locking in profits on the way up. Move your stop loss up to at least break even or in profits. When you're satisfied with the trade, lock in all your profits. If the price action is telling you more, continue to squeeze the stop. But that is going to wrap up this video on how I find all of my SPY and QQQ levels, what I like to look for intraday, as well as analysis on ES and Q, timeframes, entry criteria. So if you guys did find value in this video, make sure to smash that like button as well as clicking that subscribe and that bell icon. It would mean the absolute world to me. Everybody have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.